Key places in Book of Genesis. The Book of Genesis is the first book of the Bible, and it tells the story of the creation of the world and the history of humanity from the beginning of time. Throughout Genesis, there are many key places that shape the narrative and have significant importance in the story of God's people. The Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is where God created Adam and Eve and where they lived until they were banished after eating from the tree of knowledge. This act of disobedience set the stage for the rest of human history. Mount Ararat. Mount Ararat is where Noah's Ark came to rest after the flood. This event was a symbol of God's judgment on a corrupt world, and it also represents the hope of new beginnings and restoration. Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah were the two cities destroyed by God for their wickedness. These events serve as a warning to us that sin has consequences. Canaan. Canaan is the land that God promised to Abraham and his descendants. It is a symbol of God's faithfulness to his promises and his plan to bless all nations through his people. Egypt. Egypt is where Joseph was sold into slavery and eventually became a powerful ruler, saving his family from famine. This story illustrates God's provision and his ability to work through difficult circumstances. Bethel. Bethel is where Jacob had a dream of a stairway to heaven and received God's promise of the land of Canaan. This story shows us that God is always with us and that he has a plan for our lives. Peniel. Peniel is where Jacob wrestled with God and received a new name, Israel. This story demonstrates that God can transform our lives and give us a new identity. Shechem. Shechem is where Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, was raped, and where her brothers avenged her by killing the men of the city. This story highlights the importance of justice and the consequences of sin. Mamre. Mamre is where Abraham and Sarah lived and where God appeared to them and promised them a son. This story reminds us that God is faithful to his promises and that he can do the impossible. These key places in Genesis reveal important aspects of God's character and his plan for humanity. As we study these stories and reflect on their meaning, we can deepen our understanding of who God is and how he wants us to live. Subscribe to our channel to learn more about the Bible and its teachings.